Hello, all my Tumbler makers. Okay, so today I'm going to do an updated version of the Geode cup that I make. Now, when I first did this one, I had just made myself one, a couple of them, and I kind of made it up in my mind how I was going to do it. I made a few, I posted it in some of our groups. Everyone went nuts over it, so I quickly made a video. At that time, I had no idea what I was doing. So I made a video, just got it out there for you guys to share. But since then, this has become one of my top sellers in my Etsy shop and just through my Facebook and all the other places I market with. And I've kind of updated the process to do it to make it go faster and less time just kind of fiddling with it and trying to make it work. So I have kind of fine-tuned it, and we're going to do that today, and we're going to do it, but today we're going to do it on a tumbler so it gets a totally different look. Because if you want to do a wine glass, you can watch my old video. It's from a couple months ago, and just do it on a wine glass and do it my old style. But if you want to kind of change it up and get the updated version, this is what this is going to be today, and I'm going to put it on this. This is a 30-ounce skinny. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already got a whole video on how to prep your cup, so I'm not going to go over that today. I'm going to get this cup prepped, and we're going to jump right in, all right? I'll be right back with you guys after I get this cup ready. All right, we're back. Like I said, if you guys don't know how to prep a cup, jump back on my YouTube channel, go back a few videos, and I have a whole video on how to get your cup started and prepped for whatever design you're going to be putting on it. I quickly breeze over because I assume a lot of you know, but some of you might not. So if you're brand new to this, check that video out, and you'll be at this stage with us. So I've got a base white. That's the color I wanted as my base. The colors, I've already got these all shaken up, so you guys don't have to sit and watch me shake paint. That's annoying. But the colors I'm going to do are going to be very similar. I'm going to make this one more gray. This is a more purple version. And I'm going to make this one more like a rock version, but I do want a few little strands of the purple in. So I've got a light purple and a dark purple. Then I have a kind of a mildly shiny silver, and then I've got a super shiny silver, a black and a white. So I'm going to really focus on the black, white, and silvers and add just a little purple. That way we get more of a stone look. The bucket is going to be, if you're doing a skinny like this, it's going to be nice and tall, so you want to have the bucket almost full so that when you go all, you can get the cup completely submerged. You can do it by putting the cup next to it and seeing if the water level is going to be over the top, because you want to be able to completely submerge it without it touching the bottom or the sides. That way you get the paint and the coverage all the way to the top. If you don't have it full, you got to kind of work it around like this, and you end up banging it and messing up the paint job. All right, so you also want to have a stir stick on hand for the end to clean up. Or if you want to kind of get the water started, a little movement before, give it a little stir. That gives a little motion to the water. And let's see, we are going to start with, let's start with white. So if you've never hydro dipped, I have another video completely on all the details of hydro dipping, but you can just kind of see it here. You'll get the gist of it. You're going to spray the top of the water with your colors, and you're going to move relatively quickly. I'm going to do little black. Just by the motion of me doing this, it's going to get a lot of swirls and movement within the paint. I put my caps right next to the paint so I easily can keep track of which color is which, so I don't lose track. Okay, and now we're going to do the ultra shiny. This sometimes does some funny stuff to the water. Okay, and now we're going to add our little zhuzhes of purple. Just a little here. That's the light. A little bit of the dark. Just like that. If you tap the side of the bucket, you get some motion in the water. Swirl those colors together really good. You can see one little spot that's missing some paint. We want to make sure we're full because this is a very big cup, and we want paint all the way out every edge of the cup. And that looks pretty darn good. So we're going to go ahead and give this a whirl. You're going to put it on your hand, put it sideways. Oh, well, I'm going to zhuzh it one more time because there's a lot of purple built up right there. And let's use black. Let's break up that purple. Like I said, the purple is just meant to be a little bit of an accent. Okay, so we are going to put this in at an angle. That helps you alleviate any air pockets. If there's an air bubble, if you put it straight in, you can get an air bubble. And when it bubbles up to the top, it will move your paint away from the cup, and it will cause a problem. So you want to go in at an angle. You should wear gloves. I don't, because I don't mind being covered in paint all day. It doesn't bother me. So you're going to go down at an angle. I'll do it like this so you guys can see. I like to turn my cup slightly. That's going to also give it a bit of a swirl factor. As you can see, the paint comes towards the cup as you go, and you're going to go nice and slow. Now you can, like I said, you saw me do there right there. I could tilt it straight up and down. At the very end, you're going to go quick and push and swivel the water like that. and push the water a little bit. That moves the paint away from the cup. And there you go, you get this gorgeous swirl pattern. Now you can take an air compressor or something and blow these air a little, they have that compressed air in the cans, and you can blow the water off. But I just kind of blow it with my hands, with my mouth, and it does a pretty decent job. Now this will have to sit and dry for quite a while, get that paint nice and dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry, and we'll come back for the next steps. All right, the paint is all dry. All the air bubbles, I just blew them off with my mouth. Like I said, you can use compressed air, but I just do it with my mouth. I don't need to spend the extra money on that, but you can, there's no problem with it. So I just kind of did a quick once over on the cup. I really like this side, it had the prettiest swirls. This kind of has a big white spot. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna avoid putting my geode anywhere on the bottom, because 99.9% of people wanna put these in the cup holders in their car. And putting it anywhere down here is going to make it to where it can't go in a cup holder, and it's just awkward to hold. So I'm going to kind of put a fun geode shape here up on the top. And what we're going to do now is we're going to paint the colors that we want to shine through the glass that we're going to be putting on. So I made this really easy holder. It's just pool foam noodles. This is going to be your tip for this video. It's just pool foam noodles cut down into long pieces and rubber banded together, and it gives you a nice little pocket to be able to stick your cup in and work on it. I have a paintbrush for each color. I have dark purple, black, and silver, and you guys will see how I do those in a second. And then I have a cup of water just on hand so that I can just drop my paintbrushes in it. I'm gonna make the biggest surface area is gonna be the purple, the centerpiece, and then the outside is gonna be the silver and the black. So I don't even bother dumping these out onto anything. I just dip straight in. I don't waste, I try to create the least amount of work for myself as possible, and the least dishes and things I have to throw away and all that is the better. So I want a fun shape. So I'm just gonna paint. I'm just gonna paint a shape on. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna be just covering this with the broken glass anyway. But this way, when you put that purple broken glass on it, it just, anything that you can see through from behind the glass is going to show purple, which is going to just emphasize the beautiful color within the geode. I don't want to put this on too thick because I don't want it to take too long to dry, so that I can keep moving on this tutorial for you guys. But I do want to get it on there and get good coverage. Like I said, I'm just having fun with the shape. Geodes are all different shapes, little bumps, little curves, extra little things sticking out. That just makes it more fun and more natural. All right, so that was just one dip in the paint. That was plenty of paint to get it. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see there's paint marks and everything. That doesn't matter. It probably even just adds texture to behind. Sorry, I just bumped the camera, guys. It probably adds texture behind. Then I'm going to take my silver, shake it up really good. Sorry, I tried to get this. I didn't even think about having this shaken. I try to do that before I go live. Okay, so then this one is just going to be a small outer layer. This is going to be for the second row of white crystals. And I use silver just to add shine factor, so that if something does peek through those white crystals, at least it's relatively close to white, which is silver, and sparkly. And this is just going to be a quick little line of silver that's going to outline that purple. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to have super coverage. It's just a little detail. It's just a little added detail. You can even skip this if you don't mind having the pattern of all the swirls from your hydro dip behind it. You can skip this step, but I find that people really like that purple center. When I've had them listed without doing this, they don't sell as well. So this is, you want to get in there and do this. And if you do one of these cups, I mean, you can just kind of play with it. If you do one of these cups and you have a big spot on the front of the cup that has a big purple spot, naturally, when you do the hydro dip, skip the step and just use that purple as your background. Just stick with that. All right, so there's the silver. Is that quick? I don't try to do this perfect. I just get it on there. Black is my next one. Dip it in there. Just gonna do a little outer line on that silver. I don't fuss about doing them. Some people, you can wait till they're each dry if you're a perfectionist. I kind of like the haphazard look of just kind of them blending a little bit. Again, you won't see much of this because it will be behind the stones. This is similar to my last process, but I did this first and then tried to hydro dip over it. So this version is gonna eliminate all that taping off to hydro dip. We did it reversed. We hydro dipped first. And I've got a couple other little tricks for you guys as we go along this video that'll show you, that'll make it easier and help with different things. Sorry, I'm getting my face really close. Getting a nice side view of me there. Okay, so it's that haphazard. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be anything specific. Just do a fun shape. So you can see I kind of just made this fun little awkward weird shape on the top, and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous when we're done. So I'm going to let this dry and we'll come back for the next spot. It's all dry and ready for the next step. So we are going to start working on that. For this step, you're going to need, I just go to the dollar store and buy these packs of super glue. There's 3 per pack. I still, even in my last video, I used super glue. I still use super glue. It is the fastest way to adhere these really, really well without them sliding all over the place. So I've used Mod Podge. It works as well. So if you don't have super glue, you don't want to spend the money, you can use the Mod Podge. But what I would do is add the Mod Podge and let it dry for a few minutes, get a little more tacky, then apply everything, and you're going to kind of have to hold it on. Today we're going to use super glue. So we've got the super glue. I've got popsicle sticks to help me kind of spread the super glue around where I need it. I have a paper towel always on hand. These I get at Michael's. These are just chopped up shards of glass. I buy them in lavender. This is the white. And then they also have this in sand. Make sure you get the app for Michael's on your phone and use your daily coupon and get them. So this is pretty much the same thing as this. And I found this at the dollar store the last time I was there. So it's really good to comb through your dollar store. I have another video, if you watch in my previous videos, all the cool stuff I buy at dollar stores as my supplies for making tumblers. And so you guys can go through that and see all the cool stuff I get there that works really well for all this stuff. So super glue, or like I said, you can use Mod Podge, but it's not as easy. And here's the different types of sand. But like I said, I got this at the dollar store, so it's even cheaper than Michael's. But I have a ton of this left, so I will use that next time, but I just want to show that to you guys. So what we're going to do is we are going to get started with the super glue phase. I just pop one of these out, have them all ready to go if I need extras. All right, so I take this, and it looks as though the tip is open on this brand. Nope, it's going to make me, no, let me see. Sorry, it's almost like I have never used super glue before, and this is my first time. Sorry. It just, the hole in the end was open, so I thought, oh, that's weird. I could just straight up use it. Okay. And tilt your cup, and I just kind of squiggle it around and move it with my popsicle stick. Ooh, this is from a different brand than I usually use, and it's a lot more liquidy than I'm used to. You can see I'm struggling a little bit, but just have your popsicle stick. I will shift gears here and be ready for it. I didn't expect it to move. The actual super glue brand has more like gel. So this will be interesting. I just assumed all super glues were the same, but apparently they're not all created equal. But this is, now that I've got the hang of this one, it's fine. It's just liquidier. And again, same as with the Mod Podge, you're going to let this get tacky a little bit, but it gets tacky a lot faster than Mod Podge. So there we go. Recap that. So we're going to work on the purple first. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Don't kill yourself trying to make sure you only get purple right on the, you know, it is not an exact science. There's a lot of little gnats in here because I had the garage door open to our shop here to do the hydro dip. And the little tiny bugs came inside. We live out here in the sticks, people. The absolute boony sticks. So I'm just gonna let that get, I'm not gonna let you, it doesn't need to be minutes and minutes, but just give that a second to start getting tacky. Yep, there it goes. Okay, that fast. That's how fast super glue is. So I have the paper plate here to kind of catch the fallout because I don't do this as a science. I just drop it on. Push it down. As you can see, they're sticking right away. They're adhering right where I put them. Ooh, one just randomly stuck there. Okay. And this is the messy part, but it's okay. I just let everything go everywhere. Do the cleanup later. Like I said, you guys, this is a really good seller. People think these are absolutely gorgeous once you get them done. As you can see, they're not going on the plate, but that's all right. We'll clean it all up later. I'm just gonna keep moving for you guys. So not all these will stay on there, but I just put almost too much on and press straight onto that glue. And here, we'll take it to the side a little. Get some back on there. Sometimes I have to do 2 layers. So I'll do a layer and then I'll come back through and add more glue. Wow, this super glue dried a lot faster than the other one. Okay. So these might not stick. They might stick, they might not. So it might be a learning process right here as we do this with this new brand. This super glue definitely dries faster. Okay, so, but that's okay because we have all these little nooks and crannies. We'll just keep adding and going. But normally with regular brand super glue, what I normally use, you don't have to do this. So, but this one, like I said, that dried a lot quicker. It's a lot liquidier and a lot, dries a lot faster. So let's just pick some of these up and keep going. Yeah, this one does grab a lot faster than the other brand. So this one is grabbing and holding these little glass shards a lot easier. It doesn't need any time to get tacky like super glue blend does. Okay, we'll drop a little here. So I will eventually put Mod Podge. You'll see in the next step after I get all the rows of these done. And I go through and I go do a deep Mod Podge on top of it before I epoxy. That way it really holds them in place when I epoxy. And again, you don't have to have every single square inch of this covered because it's okay if that purple shines through. You won't be able to see that down the road once you get it covered in epoxy. It just shines through pretty color. Dump that glass. So as you can see, I've got a big mess, but I've got my paper down, so that's a bonus. So that's catching most of the mess. It'll be easier to clean up with the paper down. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you got a purple chip and it's in the gray area, that's fine. It'll just blend. It just kind of adds to the character, but I'm just brushing off a few of them as I go. Need a little bit more on this side. Looks like the glue maybe ran out. We might need to open another one. Yeah, there's not a lot in these packs, but they are only $1, so we can't complain. $1 for 3. Whoops. If you absolutely hate getting super glue on your skin, you can wear gloves. I have triplets, and I'm used to all kinds of weird and odd things being on me and around me and near me with toddlers. So I don't care. All right. So there we go. There's the purple. I'm going to clean up all the purple glass, and we'll start the next row. All right, so we're back. We're going to do that last little, the second silver section. Now the white, sorry, not the silver. It's technically white, but I guess the paint was silver. So it's the white, and I learned from the last little bit that this super glue gets very runny and dries really fast. So we're going to do small sections at a time. I'm not going to make you tediously watch me do this whole row. I'm just going to do a little bit of it for you guys and then finish it up off camera because you don't need to watch this tedious process. Once you get the idea of it, see, those are already glued down. This glue is awesome, actually. Now knowing it's really runny, I would easily use this again. So these I place a little bit more because they're bigger chunks. So I kind of am more purposeful in where I put them and how I put them because they're much bigger. And if you just kind of haphazardly lay these, they don't go as well. It's not as like the purple ones. Okay. So there you go. You see, I'm slowly working my way around. They're sticking really fast so I can work quick. Oop. Except for I keep fumbling for you guys. Not usually this slow at stuff. So when I sell these, they are a pricey item, and you can see why. They take a lot of man hours to get these done. So they are one of the more expensive things I sell, but they're also one of the top sellers. People love them. So I would recommend starting this and adding it to your shop, because they will be profitable for you guys, even though they take quite a bit of work, but people love them. All right, so I'm gonna stop right here. You guys don't need to watch all this. I will get this row done and we'll come back. All right, so we've got all the clear chips on. They went on really well. I actually did start just kind of dumping them on there, and because the super glue was grabbing them so fast, it worked out perfect. So I will probably now from here on out get this generic super glue brand. It's HET is what it looks like the brand is, from one of the Dollar Trees or dollar stores, because that worked really well. Way better than the actual super glue brand. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is this gray, it's like really thick sand. It's not as heavy as these chips, so you can use Mod Podge for this section, and you need Mod Podge for the next little lump anyway. This one, I have this one, it's just the water-based for, it's the fabric Mod Podge, but because it doesn't matter which Mod Podge you use, because it's gonna go underneath, and so I'm just gonna glop it on here, kind of going around the outside. Again, there's nothing perfect about this, how we do this. I just get some Mod Podge on, because I'm not using glitter. I don't mind about just dumping my paintbrush in there and contaminating with glitter, because there is no glitter. And it's pretty obvious if I get one of these big rocks on the paintbrush, I can just knock it off. Like I said, I'm used to my hands being covered in goo from all this stuff. So I'm used to touching it with Mod Podge and all that. So Mod Podge doesn't dry like super glue does, so you can do the entire rim, like you can see I'm doing here. Just getting it all started and getting it ready for yourself. And then don't get rid of your brush, because your next step is going to be using this Mod Podge and Mod Podge anyway. So wipe my finger, and that's why I have the paper towel. And this is, again, going to make a big mess just like the last one. Move this out of the way so it doesn't get covered, and just dump. And some of these will go down in here. It's fine. This is supposed to look real and as natural as we can get it, and that is how it looks in real life. I have one of these actual geodes that inspired me. You can see it in my other videos. I didn't bring it out for today, but you can see it in my other videos. And see how much this because it's not heavy, it just stays stuck to that Mod Podge. It doesn't have to be, I'm making a giant mess. It's so fun. You could also do this, if you didn't want to deal with this mess that I'm creating here, you could do this in one of those turkey roasting trays that you can get at the Dollar Tree as well. And it will catch all this, but I don't worry about fallout. It's actually quite easy to clean up. The brown paper down helps. All right, so you just tap them in, pour it out. All right, so now you are here. So you've got these all. That is going to be what gives you that 3D geode, and it's gorgeous. And I just kind of brush. Sometimes these stick to absolutely nothing. There's not even glue over there, and it's stuck down. You want to make sure those are all dusted off, because those will cause lumps in weird spots in your epoxy. All right, so now you're here. So what I'm going to now do is take my paintbrush and my Mod Podge, and I'm going to go through all this and just coat it really well. This is just going to make sure once you start epoxying, it can be thick. It doesn't matter because it dries clear. But this is just going to ensure that these little glass bits stay down when you are epoxying. And I can see, whoops, and I did get some in the lid. Sorry, I'm going to dip in there, but I don't want to have to worry about the little chips of glass being on the paintbrush. So I'm just going to get a blob of this Mod Podge so I can just go for it. I'll do this quickly for you guys. All right, so then we're just going to literally just smush it on there. Some of them will come up. That's all right. I just keep going. They'll stick down somewhere eventually. See, like they're on the brush, but they'll stick down somewhere else, and this Mod Podge will help it. Some of these pieces weren't super grabbed on with the super glue, they were just a little bit, and then me tapping on it is causing a problem. But like I said, you are smashing this Mod Podge on, and that will put them, and they will stick back down. You can put them right back down. You can also just, if you see a spot that looks like it doesn't have enough on it, you can also just drop some more of the glass down onto the Mod Podge, and the Mod Podge will stick it down as well. But like I said, if there's kind of a hole, it doesn't matter because you won't see it. You won't see it. This will also actually, this step, I wouldn't skip the step because if you have any of these little pieces of glass that happen to be a little sharp, the Mod Podge over the top also kind of dulls that edge so you're not giving somebody a cup with like a sharp something sticking out. I mean, the epoxy will cover that as well, but it's such thin layers of epoxy that sometimes it doesn't. You can still end up with a really sharp shard of glass sticking out. I also just sand those off a little bit. I have a little hand sander, and I also have a belt sander that I work with. So I can just bzz, bzz, and take that sharp tip off if for some reason, and then I just do another layer of epoxy. So I'm just getting the last little bit of Mod Podge here. Whoop. Doing this last little section. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can see I've got little holes and stuff, and it's fine. Okay, looks good. Perfect. Okay, so I can see a couple little spots. Well, I can't see them now because it's covered in the Mod Podge. But there was a little spot down here that when I did it, the gems lifted up. I mean, the little glass bits lifted up. So now I'm just going to leave it like that, and I can feel that none of those are sharp or anything, so I don't need to necessarily cover them with Mod Podge. So this will just sit and dry. I would probably leave this for 24 hours. At this stage where you have the Mod Podge like this, you can add glitter. Some people like it, some people don't. So I put it as one of my things for special ordering. If you want glitter, if they want the extra glitter, or if they want to look more natural. If you want it to look more natural and you want it to actually look like the stone that was our inspiration for this, you would just leave it like this. If they like the glitz and the glimmer, you can add some fun whites down in there or some purples, add some purple glitter in there. It just is going to depend on the person. And who's getting this cup or what you're marketing it to. Because some people love that extra sparkle and it is really pretty. And some people just want it to be more natural. So this one is actually going to be going probably to a geologist, somebody that I know. So we are going to leave it more natural because that's probably the way she would want it. And we will come back once this is all dry and I will show you guys the next step. We are back. As you can see, I've got my tumbler turner already moving. I do this because I want it to kind of spin a few times around before I actually coat it with epoxy to make sure that anything that's loose here that didn't get covered with the Mod Podge and that isn't going to grip onto the cup kind of falls off and lands in my tray here. That way when I put the epoxy on, it's not sliding down all over the cup, those loose pieces, and I have to pick them off later, or I don't even see them and then they're just this weird thing sticking out of the cup that's this sharp point. So this kind of allows it to all the little extra pieces. I got a couple of these little gray stones here, fell off while I had it turning. So that's why I have it turning already. And just to let it kind of do its thing while I get everything else ready. I've got my supplies that I need for this section here. You can see I have my part A and part B. I use these little condiment servers. And it works really well. Especially if I'm only doing 1 cup. If I'm doing like 6 cups at a time, I just pour straight from my big 2-gallon jugs, and because I have to pour a lot, and these take a little bit longer to get them out of these bottles. But when you just have the 1 cup, you can do it from these bottles. Also, a little tip and trick here is the A is so thick that if you just put it in this bottle and try to squeeze it out, it comes out really slow. And if you squeeze too hard trying to force it to come through, the entire cap of this thing will pop off and that epoxy will go everywhere. I've learned this from experience. So what I do now, this is just a little tip and trick. You'll probably see this again in one of my tips, tricks, and hacks for tumblers videos. But you cut the top off a little more. So you can actually see the line where the cap goes to is like right here. I'm trying to get that up close to the camera. The line is right here. So if I cut here, it's fine. It's still going to be covered when I cover the cap with that. But it makes that hole a lot bigger. And so the epoxy comes out a lot faster. So you don't have to wait for like 20 minutes while it slowly comes out of the bottle. So that's what I do for the A. The B doesn't need that because it's so thin, it just shoots right out of the bottle easy. So the A, I cut and then I reseal. I obviously, I have them labeled A and B. I work with about 4 different types of epoxies for different things. And I have these bottles for each one and I put them all with a different color. So I always know Aqua, A and B go together. And I know that this is this brand and the red one, the black one, and the yellow one. They're all different brands in these, so I don't mix them up. So I have my part A and part B already done. So I didn't want you guys to have to sit and tediously watch me get it out of that bottle into here. Even with the cut top, it still does take a minute. So I'm gonna stir this up real quick for you guys. So what I was gonna get to is we're gonna use our torch in this portion, and I'm also gonna be wearing a mask. So I'm gonna be putting on my chemical mask just because this stuff is volatile, and even with all the air in here, I'm just really careful about how I work with my epoxies. So I'm gonna go, before I really stir into that, I wanted to show you, this is a torch. I don't know, most of you probably are aware of this, familiar with this, but for those who aren't, you can just get this, I get this on Amazon, and it's loads the same way you would load like one of those Zippo lighters, and you use this. I buy this at Home Depot. It's in the area up by the Sanders, weirdly, that's where I found it, and it's got a tip on the top. So to fill this with butane, you just put this right in the bottom of that hole, go up and hold it down for 5 seconds. And you do that 3 times and that will fill this up. Mine is pretty full, so it doesn't need any, but I just wanted to show you guys that because a lot of people have a lot of questions about torches versus heat guns. They both have different purposes in the tumbler community. This particular tumbler, I'm gonna need the butane torch to get the micro bubbles out, and you'll see that in a minute. But I want to explain that while I didn't have my mask on because it's gonna get significantly harder to hear me once I put on my chemical mask. So this is a chemical mask. These are not used in a lot of these tutorials. They should be. This is what's safe and healthy for your body. Everyone should always be wearing these. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. You should be wearing these when you work with epoxy. When you start mixing your epoxy, this is what you should be wearing. I am not on camera with this on my face because I look absolutely ridiculous, but it is safe. And I don't want to harm my lungs. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys can still pick up my voice. I've got this on now so I can start mixing. I've got my mic up close to it. Hopefully this is still okay with the sound for you guys. So I've got my epoxy. I am just a crazy epoxy stirrer. You can stir this slowly for 10 minutes and avoid getting air bubbles in it, but I don't worry about the air bubbles because I'm going to pop the air bubbles with my butane torch. So I just go ahead and stir vigorously. That way I can be done in just a matter of seconds. Again, I don't normally do this on camera with you guys, but I've been getting a lot of epoxy questions. So I thought I would just do it really quick with you guys. And you can see, I just vigorously stir. We want to make sure you scrape off your popsicle stick a couple times. That makes sure that you don't have any on there that's not going to get mixed, because sometimes it just sticks right onto that popsicle stick. And then when you go to use it, it stays tacky because it hasn't been stirred. And you can see I scrape the sides a lot, and I scrape the bottom a lot to make sure that I really get it. But you can see there's tons of bubbles in this epoxy, but I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Some people, it's not for everybody this way. Some people like their way, and that's fine. And that way works for them, so it works. This is what works for me for the essence of just going through this process real fast and not taking 10 minutes to stir my epoxy. And I've never had a problem. As long as you make sure you scrape the sides and scrape the bottom real well, I've never had a problem. So you can see the epoxy has gone clear. It just has a lot of bubbles in it, so it's ready to go. And I'm going to set that off to the side. Some people apply with these brushes. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to go ahead and use my hands, but I wanted to make sure you see these. These are awesome. This is a Silicone Makeup Brush. You can get these on Amazon, and a lot of these craft stores have these silicone brushes. And I mean, not craft stores, I'm sorry, craft supply Facebook pages have these available in their shops. So just check these out. They're great. But for the essence of time, just to get through this with you guys, I'm going to move pretty quick here. So what I do is I focus really hard in the beginning on the geode to make sure I use the most of my epoxy down in this area, because you want to get really good coverage over all your stones. So I'm just going to wait for it to come around again, and then I will start the epoxy process. You can sit this on top of like a warm surface. But I'm just going to move, like I said, I'm not worried about, the warm surface will actually help with removing some of those micro bubbles for you guys.
but I'm just going to go for this here. Get this on. It's probably going to drip because I put it on pretty thick over this. Oh, there's a stone that's a little loose, but it's going to drip, but that's okay. And then it comes back around, and I keep going. And just dab it on. And stuff will fall off. It's okay. I mean, I started early to try to avoid that, but once you start touching stuff, stuff is probably going to get knocked off. But that's also why I'm epoxying on cameras, because I want to show you how to troubleshoot all that stuff that's going to move around on the cup, because there are ways to kind of work with that and help that. So I just dab the epoxy around and make sure it's well coated. On the geode part, make sure all the little pebbles have some epoxy on it. And like I said, I won't normally torture you guys by epoxying on camera because most of you have done it. If you're at the point where you're probably designing one of these cups that's this interest kit, you've probably already epoxied other cups and you don't need to be taught that. But like I said, sometimes people haven't seen it, so we'll go ahead and do it today. And this one can be a little tricky with getting that epoxy on there with all the extra little stones. You guys, I hope that the camera is picking up my voice. If it's not, sorry. I will put the directions down in the drop-down menu written out, just in case if I get through this video and I figure out that my voice was not able to hear it. So now I have this left over, and I'm just going to start applying it like you would normally. Kind of holding my cup because the turner is not anchored down. This is not the table I normally work on. This is actually the first time I've epoxied on this table, and so I don't have my tumbler anchored down, so it's kind of wobbly. My turner, so not my tumbler, my turner. So you just kind of work this around. I'm getting some of these little stones are coming through, but I'll show you guys how to take care of that in a minute. It's not hard, it's just a little something. Just this little stone stuck on my finger. And you will do more than one coat, so just know that going in. If you don't get extreme coverage on all those stones in the geode, you'll catch it on the second round. You can't tell if you missed it on the first round. It will still get covered in the second round. So I just kind of work it around. I try not to, once I've got it on the stones, I try not to touch the stones again, just so I don't loosen up. I try to handle the stone area as little as possible so that I don't loosen any of those stones. Because even though they're set in with super glue and epoxy, Mod Podge, not epoxy, sorry, they will still move. I saved just a little bit to make sure I could go over my bottom. My whole turner is wobbly. Sorry guys, maybe I'll have it anchored down if I ever do this again on camera. I do so many different videos in this space, I don't always need my epoxy turner. Oops, my tumbler turner. So I don't necessarily need it anchored here all the time. All right, I just make sure I rub through everything, coat everything. Okay, so I've got a few of these little gray stones that have snuck out, and you can see I'm just got a little left of the epoxy, so I'm going to just use every little drop. We'll get it on the cup. There we go. Okay. So there's some of these stones that have come loose. It's most of these little gray ones. You can see them. I'm just feeling the cup as I rub, and if I feel one, I just kind of scoop it off with my glove. If you get to the end and there is one just randomly stuck out somewhere that you missed, don't panic. I take a little hand sander it's kind of like a little sander. I should have that here sitting for you guys. I didn't even process that, but it's a little sander. It's like a little hand electric sander, and it's got a triangle on the end. You can take that and just put the little tip of the triangle right on top of that stone and actually sand it down to smooth again, and almost as if that stone was never there. I don't sand all the way to the paint. I just sand the sharp top off of the little stone till it's flush with the epoxy, because you can't actually see it because it blends in with all the design of the hydro dip, so you never really see it when it's there. You probably would never even know it's there unless you touch it. So here we are. Write this again for you guys. So this is done. Oh, there's another little stone. So I will check this actually in about 20 minutes. I'll come back. I'm going to let it turn, obviously. And in about 20 minutes, I'll come back and I will check and to see if there's any more of those little stones. Because sometimes as it's turning, one will fall out and then slowly slide around your cup as it's turning. So I just come out and with tweezers at that, I don't want to touch it with my hands at that point because it has started to cure. I just use tweezers and I just carefully with the point of the tweezers, grab it and pull it off. And then I'll torch it and heat it just a tiny bit to smooth it down. And that will really make a difference for you guys. Like I said, I'm just kind of peeking around. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my glove. I'm going to keep my ventilator mask on. I keep my mask on the whole time that I have wet epoxy on. So for this afternoon, I will be wearing this mask for a couple more hours. I'm used to it now. It doesn't bother me. I'm just really careful about the fumes and what I'm breathing in. Because I have babies and I've got to live a long time for them. Okay, so now this is when the torch will come in handy. You don't normally see the bubbles along in the epoxy on this part because there's so much activity in the pattern. But there are micro bubbles there, and you can definitely feel them. If this cures and dries and I don't pop the micro bubbles, you'll feel it. It'll feel like a rough texture. So I just use my torch, and I just quickly go over this. And that's going to start getting the micro bubbles. I'm going to hit it a couple times as it goes around, and then you got to move fast with the torch. If you don't move fast, you can burn the epoxy. The epoxy will actually turn brown and crisp up and almost like instantly cure. And it won't move anymore on your cup, and it makes it really, really, really weird looking. So see, I'm just going through a couple times to get all those micro bubbles. But I keep it moving. I don't sit on, even if I miss the bubble on what, there's a little stone that came loose. Boop. He's still wet. But see, you'll get some drippage because we did use a lot of epoxy in this area. And when you start torching it, it's going to thin out and pop the bubbles as well, but it will also thin. And drip off if you've got too much. I'll hit the bottom just to make sure my epoxy goes on smooth. And there's another little stone. So see, they start getting away from you. So even if they weren't there the first time around, they might be there in like 20 minutes. And this big guy is about to fall off, probably because I touched it too much. So we're going to let him fall. And we're just going to, I took my gloves off, so I can't do this with my hand anymore. So I'm just going to swoop these guys off with a popsicle stick. And this is why I'm doing this today on film, because this can be tricky. And this is something you definitely don't want to leave these little stones on the cup. So I get this tray at the dollar store. I go through these quite frequently. It comes in like a pack of 3 or 4 or something for $1. So I just use these as like almost like throwaway one-time use trays. But I'll probably use this one for like 6 months and then throw it away. But you don't need something fancy. You can also use a silicone tray, a silicone mat underneath, which I have those too, but this was prettier to put on camera for you guys today. So you can use a silicone tray, a silicone mat underneath, and then all the epoxy that drips off, they won't stick. It'll dry and cure on top, but you just fold and move the silicone and it pops right off. So now you guys saw the huge purpose of this tool, because there is like no bubbles in here. And if you see one, look at that, there was like a little one in there. You just hit it. All right, so there we go. This is going to turn now. I will let this turn. Let's see, I'll let it probably sit here for 6 hours. I have no need for this other turner today. I'm working in my other workstation today with all my multi-turner. So this one will probably just sit here for 4 hours, 6 hours. You can take cups off the tumbler turner. I say 6 hours. Some people do it as little as 4 hours, but I do 6 hours just to make sure, because if you take it off too early, your epoxy will slump down and you'll get a bunch of ripples in it because it wasn't quite there yet. So I hate sanding and trying to recover a cup. I don't strip cups. I recover cups, and I just figure it out, but it's a lot of work sometimes. So I do as many things I can is to avoid having to recover a cup. So like I said, this one I'll probably just let sit here. Most likely it'll probably even just turn right here until tomorrow. And then I will come back and show you guys the next steps. All right, so that was today. Sorry, that was a bit of a long stretch, and it's probably very hard to hear me with this chemical mask on. But I hope you guys got the gist of that. You want to apply onto the geode first. Make sure it's thoroughly covered, then coat the rest of the cup. Go through and pick off maybe the little bits of what I call the sand from the outside that might move around on the cup a little bit on you. And pop the air bubbles with your torch inside, mainly inside the geode, but also around your whole cup. And then just let it turn. All right, we will come back in a bit, well, tomorrow most likely, to see it all with the final, this layer all cured up.
Okay, so this one is ready. I snuck in and actually threw on the second coat of epoxy so that you guys didn't need to watch me apply a second coat. So you probably got the gist on the first one. So I threw the second coat on, so it's well covered. It's nice and thick. Sometimes you have a little issue and you need to add a third coat just because you need to sand a little bit, or there's a wobble or a fisheye or something. This one came out perfect. There's no issues on it, so I can go ahead and get lucky and stop with 2 coats. So now we are at the start spot on this cup where you will be getting it ready to ship out to your customer. And so we're going to clean it. So this is just a little container. You get these at Dollar Tree, and it flips open. This is acetone inside. And what you do is I use coffee filters because they don't leave any fibers behind like a cotton ball would. I'm not going to be epoxying this anymore, so a fiber of a cotton wouldn't matter, but I just like to stay in the habit of using these so I don't accidentally one day use a cotton ball when I'm not supposed to and get all these little fuzzies, and then it creates craters with your epoxy. So I just always use coffee filters with my acetone or my alcohol. So what you want to do is I use acetone. You can use alcohol, especially if you're newer to this game of tumblers, because the alcohol is a lot more forgiving. If you get alcohol on the outside of this epoxy, it's not going to hurt this epoxy. But if you get acetone on the outside on this epoxy, it will degrade your epoxy and make it soft or peel, or you'll have issues with it. So because the acetone will melt this epoxy. So I do work with acetone, but if you are not used to working with acetone, I recommend starting with alcohol. So do the same step, but use alcohol. It will take a lot more rubbing and a lot more work with alcohol, but you won't damage your cup in the process on accident. So until you get very comfortable doing that, I would stick with alcohol and then switch to acetone when you're comfortable with this process. So I just do a couple pumps and get the acetone on here, and then you just rub it on the inside. Usually you have to do this because you've gotten paint from spray painting it and stuff, and epoxy sometimes gets down on the inside. I can feel this one has a little bubble of epoxy, so we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to fix that. And I wipe it through the inside. On my care instructions, I always make sure I tell people to wash the cup well before they use it, because I've put all kinds of stuff. There's been a football inside this cup and some tape, and now it's got acetone, and and even though I rinse them out and let them dry, I still always say wash before use. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that little coffee filter away. Okay, so now you've got all the paint removed from inside, all your spray paints, and there's one. I actually did really well with this. Usually mine are riddled with epoxy along this inside rim. So you can use the acetone to keep rubbing, get it nice and saturated, and rub and remove that epoxy if there's any in there. You can also go in there and get it with an X-Acto knife. So this is the Cricut brand X-Acto knife. This is another one of those tools I was like, oh, that's silly, I'm never going to buy that. However, again, they put it on 40% off at Michael's, so I got it, and it is a phenomenal X-Acto knife. It has the nice grippy, whatever. Again, you can get one of these at your dollar store, so if you're new, get a dollar store one till you get real good at this. Or this one's great. I like the grippy on this one, and this one's easy to interchange the blade when it gets worn. So you can see with this one, you can just, with that little bit of epoxy, I just stick the tip right under the epoxy and it lifts off, just like that. So that just got that little bubble of epoxy off. If you have more, you can do the same thing and just carefully push the tip underneath and pull it up, push the tip underneath and pull it up. And then if there's still a little residue, you can go back through with a coffee filter. Just, of course, threw my other coffee filter away. This one has just a tiny rim of residue, and just hit it with the acetone. And there it goes. And it's that easy. I wish there was a little bit more of an example to show you guys doing the X-Acto knife with the epoxy on the inside, but this one I was a very clean creator on this one. So there wasn't much to show you on that, but that's how you would clean the inside to get it ready for delivery. And then put the top on, and I ship mine with a straw. And so there you go. And at this point, this cup would be finished unless your customer had wanted a decal or something put on the cup, but it's all done. Okay, we are back. I have a guest member today. This is my daughter, one of them. She just wants to be with mommy all day today, so she wasn't going to let me come in here and finish this video. She wanted to be here doing glitters, she says. So she's just going to help us do the wrap up this video. Okay, guys, you can see the cup. I've got it all cleaned. It's getting ready for shipping out to a customer, or it could be shipping up to a customer. This one I'm probably going to maybe keep as my personal cup because it came out so pretty. Oh, you want to open that? Okay. These people just want to watch this video. Here.
Cut it.
Yeah.
Cut it.
Yeah, you're so cute. Okay, so I got all the supplies out here, guys. What you guys, she's just going to hang out with us. She's playing, she loves glitter. Loves glitter. So she's got the crushed up glass that you would use. You need your Mod Podge, some sand, electrical tape, super glue. Make sure you wear a ventilator mask. This is my cool little thing that I used. You guys should make one and use it to hold your cup as you work. Your A and B epoxy, torch, your spray paint colors, your acrylic paint colors. Then you got your cleaning stuff, acetone, this X-Acto knife, papers. It's all good stuff. This is the one thing I didn't cover, and I thought maybe I should mention it real quick at the end. What I use to hold these on my turner is I get one of these Dollar Tree footballs, and it's too wide actually, so I actually compress it down and shove it in, and it fits perfectly. It holds. It doesn't need any double-sided tape or any of that extra grippy anything to hold it. It's like, because it's a little too big, and just kind of forcing it down inside the stainless steel will hold this 30-ounce skinny really, really well. So that's what I use for that. I just wanted to show that tip. Another one, these are those silicone makeup brushes that I have been asked probably 100 times in the last couple days what this is. So I'm adding that. This is a silicone makeup brush, and this can be used for anything with epoxy, and like applying your epoxy and smoothing it out, because the epoxy does not stick to the silicone, so when you bend it, it comes right off once it's dry. And this is also really good for working with your water slides and using as a squeegee to get all the water and air bubbles out from underneath your water slides. So that's just a quick thing. We are wrapping this one up. If you enjoyed this video, check out the drop-down menu. We'll have the list of supplies you guys need for this one. We got a couple links for you guys to check out. We've got an awesome Facebook group. We play a lot of games, do a lot of fun stuff. You can join that. Check us out on Instagram. Oh, she's over there playing in my bucket of water from my hydro dipping. That's still sitting here. Are you having fun in the water? Yeah. Okay, say bye, everybody. Say bye. You want to come say bye? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, Doodle. Come here. Okay, say bye. Bye. Yes. Can you say, give us a thumbs up? Give them a thumbs up. Say, give our video a thumbs up. Ta-da. Like, not that one. Hold this finger. Just this finger. Ta-da. Thumbs up. Say bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys. All right, guys, here she is. She's all done. I apologize. You're probably going to hear my Cuban mother-in-law in the background on this one. She is in just outside the studio playing with my kids, and she's really sweet and cute. But I keep hearing her little voice and my kids playing. But I just wanted to take a quick shot of this thing with a 360 view for you guys of all the gorgeous marble swirl and the 3D geode. And the little geode right in front of it is the inspiration for this whole cup. That is what launched this whole idea of doing this 3D geode, was that one little stone that I had. And there you have it, that cup, and we are all done.